Alright, what we got here today is a 2020 Honda Rancher 420. We're going to put this Highlifter gear reduction kit in it. It's just a set of gears. I think this is a 15% gear reduction. Might be 20. I have to do a little checking on that, but I think this is a 15% gear reduction. But we're going to put these gears in, and it's going to essentially allow a gear reduction so they can turn these bigger tires on this thing. A lot of this is going to be time lapse. I'm kind of new to this camera thing, so we're going to see how it goes. So just follow along and we'll see where we go. When you're looking at the bottom of this thing, up here at the front, you've got a screw here in the side on both sides, right here. Then you got one in the middle, one there, one there, one there. And then it hooks on these clips on the frame rail, and then you just slide it forward and it comes off. And then you got this little small one here that goes right up underneath here to protect this boot right there. All right, back to work. See if I can't get you a little more video of what I was just doing. We unhooked the brake lines. They go through here and through there. You undo the wing nuts and pull them out. So now they're off. There's a vent tube that goes right here and then travels up the A-arm. Pulled that. Vent tube here. Pulled that. Now we just got to get these bolts here and there. Shock's undone. That's unhooked. This does have like a little lift kit spacer on it if it's not quite like yours or whatever. So now we're gonna get these two swing arm bolts out and unhook that shaft and pull this whole rear end assembly out. All right, just coming in from the top with the air box out. See, it just opens up so much more room. You can get down there with the starter and get all the bolts. So ultimately, what the goal is here is we got to remove this cover. And I believe we're coming to here, but we might, I think it's just this cover right here. And we'll get to the final drive gears and replace those with the ones that we got in the kit. And then that'll, I need to look that up. I can't remember if it's 15 or 20% gear reduction, but either way, got to remove the starter. And then this whole side cover here comes off. And then, you know, you break the back half of the engine apart. Of course, we need to drop the oil and go from there, I guess. I'm gonna go ahead and get the oil dropped out of this thing and then start removing the starter, these little ground wires and stuff like that, and start getting prepared to get that cover off. I cleaned this thing up the other day. The guy brought it up. I guess they come straight off a ride and he was frustrated with it, so it was still pretty nasty. That's another thing you might want to make sure, which this one's still not as clean as I'd like it to be, because some of this stuff will flake off. Just be mindful if you open up the engine or gear case or anything like that. You want clean is the thing. Try to keep that stuff out of the engine or out of the differential, whatever it is you're working on, and that'll go a long ways in the end product, I think. But go back to work. All right, now we're gonna drop the oil in this thing. Drain plug. Yeah, that was a 17 millimeter. Pull that drain plug out of there. Get a rag. Yeah, so far this it's coming apart pretty good. Not really a terrible job so far. You got several connectors down here. Let's see if I can get you a view of that. Yeah, you got several connectors down here. I think they're just pulled the little rubber boots back on them. I don't know how good you can see that. Just pull that back, and then this one's full of mud. But you just press it and pull. And you got a couple more down in here, and then in the back you got to remove this cover, and then that gets the like the reverse actuator exposed, so you can get to that. Right now we're just draining the oil. We'll continue unhooking some of these connectors and get it starter out of there. So that's the next thing, getting that out of there. Alright, we finally got that cover off. And these are the gears we're going after right here. Let's see if I can get something from the back. These are the two gears we're going after. This one and this one. Being that that's the stator cover, it's got a wiring harness that runs up. It runs up this frame rail here, comes through here, and then plugs in here. There's one plug there, and then there's another plug right here that unplugs the stator, which would then allow you to remove this cover. And here's the stator cover. Starter goes in up here. That's your stator. And then the cover seals like that with that wiring harness coming through it. But this just got a series of little 10mm bolts all the way around the housing. You know, all of them are different lengths all the way around. Well, not all of them. Some of them are different lengths. So you have to pay attention to which ones come out of which holes. Put them back where they come from. So like these are going to be shorter. These two will be shorter than like this one, just because of the depth of the case here. So you just got to kind of be mindful of which ones you pull out and where they come from, so you can put them back where they came. But that wasn't too bad. Got the cover off. It's got this on the drive shaft coming out. It's got this O-ring that sits in this groove right here that helps seal these splines up when the rear drive shaft's in it. And it goes on like that. It fits in that groove. So when you pull that cover off, this seal in the case is going to drag this seal off the ends of the spline. So you just go ahead and remove that before you pull the case apart. And then from here, pretty much this shaft will slide out, but we'll have to get it disconnected here and it'll pull out. And then once we get that out of there, we can swap these two gears out. See, that one just slides on the shaft. And then this one probably got it just slides on. We may have to pull that bearing. Again, this isn't it's the first time I've done one of these. So we're kind of learning together here. But this is what we got going on so far. I'll see what we got to do to get this gear off. Looks like it slides off that way. So that bearing's going to probably have to come off. I don't know. Let's see what we got to do to get that off. I just used a press right here. Bearing come off pretty easy. Just pulled that bearing off that shaft, and then that will allow that gear to fall right off that shaft. So then the other one just slides off the end of the this one just slides right off, and then you just replace them. See, this one's got a shim on it. That was on the outside. That was facing into the engine. This is facing out. So we definitely need to make sure we put that back. But basically, well, I tripped. Basically, you slide that back on there. This is the new gear. It's a little tighter than the other one. Flipping it around. Yeah, this one's a snug fit. I'm gonna have to have both hands. The shaft is spinning. I'm trying to line it up. But anyway, you just slide this on here, and then the same thing for the one on the shaft, and then press that bearing back on, and then we'll start the reassembly process. I did pull that shaft out I don't know if that's the right or wrong way, but I have a press, so it made it a little easier to get that bearing off without messing it up. But it just slips into there. Another one of those O-rings like I showed you on the rear side of that shaft. Pull the O-ring off as you slide it through. Make sure you get it good and clean before it goes through, because there's going to be dirt and debris on that shaft and in them splines, and you don't want to drag that through the block. But anyway, clean that, pull that shaft. It comes completely through. I'll try to catch a clip of me putting it back in so you can see what I'm talking about. And let me start getting this stuff back together, and I'll try to get you a clip showing that shaft going back in. Alright, turns out, after a little better investigation, this bearing, it was just kind of froze up on that shaft due to corrosion and rust around here. So you may can just take a little emery cloth or something and clean that up, and just not have to pull this shaft out. Just pull it out, pull the bearing off the end of the shaft. But anyway, it did what it did, so here we are. This goes back in through here. Just kind of feel your way through the lineup process. And then right before you get it all the way in, that O-ring I was telling you about needs to go back on. You just slide that O-ring in there. Yeah, you watch all those videos on here. People say it's hard to do things with one hand. They're not lying. And everything takes 4 times longer when you're trying to video it too. This process should have been done already hours ago probably. But just checking footage and going back and making sure you're recording things. But anyway, we're gonna give this a shot and see what happens. I'm not usually the one that want to be standing in front of a camera talking on listening to myself, but I'm gonna try it. But that's the one gear. That's probably the worst one. Then the smaller gear goes right up on top of that, on that other shaft right there. I'll get that knocked on, and we'll start the cleanup process and get the case put back on. We'll see where it goes from there. All right, now that I've seen how this thing works, that bearing that's supposed to that was, I thought, pressed on that shaft, that was really just kind of stuck on there, it's supposed to stay in the case, and that made it a little more difficult for lining everything up, because there's springs in here just kind of pushing this shaft into the front diff and keeping pressure on it. And when you take this loose back here, it tries to push this backwards. But anyway, you might want to just get that bearing and push it back up in the case before you start this reassemble process. That would probably make it a little easier. And you know, that shim goes on the outside of that gear so it don't rub up against the case. That kind of gives it a thrush bearing type deal to not chew the case up. But we got the case back in, and this thing, it just uses like a, I'm gonna call it Permatex, but it's not. It's not a gasket. It's a liquid gasket maker. Is what Honda uses. You might want to get that from your, or something equivalent, whatever you feel comfortable using. I use the gray GM aluminum sealant is what I use on pretty much everything aluminum like this. It's got a machined surface. But yeah, we're just going to start the reassembly process, and we're going to get this cover. We got the cover on. We got all the bolts tight. We're going to shove the starter back in there and start putting the wiring back on, and then we're going to, oh yeah, the rear diff on this thing was full of, which I done put some oil dry down now, but the rear diff is full of milky diff fluid. So I'm going to check the front and go ahead and flush this out and get that cleaned out and put some fresh gear oil in that rear. I don't know, you guys like to swamp and play in the mud and stuff. That's kind of normal. If you can see any signs of wetness around a seal area, which I can't really, it's hard to tell, but if any time you see a little bit of wetness around there, if oil can get out, water can get in, and it's definitely gonna come in there. I know a lot of guys that run mud, they fill the diffs with grease and stuff like that. That's not something I'm into, so I don't know what the best solution is for that, other than stay out of it. But I mean, I know these are toys. You do what you want to with them. Anyway, we're gonna get that button back up and get this thing out of here. This guy's been waiting about a week or so to get this back. I've been kind of backed up with other things. I do a lot of side-by-side stuff. This is my bike here. I built that box on the back. Like I said earlier, I'm doing some wiring upgrades, and I'm gonna put a switch panel in. Anyway, put heat in it a few weeks ago. We're getting ready to go to West Virginia in a couple weeks, so I got to get that buttoned up. I got a sound system for it's going in it. But I do a lot of custom side-by-side stuff. But I mean, I also work on vehicles and cars and mess too. But this is more of a hobby for me. You know, this is one of the things that somebody brought me and asked me did I want to do it. And I said, sure, I'll try it. And we'll try to make a video of it and see what happens. So I think it's going all right. I don't know what this is going to look like when it's all edited together. I don't know. I'm sure I'm going to have to come up with some better solutions to get y'all off this tripod right here and get you moving around, get off this time lapse. I know I hate watching videos like that, but it's very hard to work and film and record, and it's dark under there. You can't really see what's going on anyway. So I don't know. I could try to come up with some creative solutions to get some light and maybe something to hold a camera so I can put it in there and let you see what I'm doing as we go. You know, this is like one of my first, well, this is my first video that I've put together with like a somewhat tutorial type deal. So I don't know, we'll kind of take some suggestions. If y'all got some comments or something you want to throw in there, just let me know what you think. I'm sure there's going to be some naysayers, but hey, that's what it's all about. So just yeah, follow along. We'll try to get this thing wrapped up. All right, got the rear end put back in. See there, all bolted back up. Drive shaft put back in. That's a little aggravating to do by yourself. I had to do some finagling with 2 jacks to kind of get it lined back up, but it's doable. Just take your time and you can get it. Got the skid plate back on. Got all the wiring done. Got the air box back in. Let's fill. Got all the battery box button back up. The wiring ran around for the stator. The stator rehooked up. Oh, wiring run all back up in there. Got the brakes on. Brakes adjusted. As you can see there, got the vent tubes ran back. Got the shock hooked back up. Got that vent tube hooked up. Pretty much what I got left to do now is put the plastics back on. I'm gonna go ahead and service the bike and drain that rear diff and get it flushed out and put some fresh fluid in there to get that mess out of it. And then we're just gonna button it up. I'm probably not gonna be able to finish this up tonight. It's getting kind of dark. I got somewhere to be tonight, and I'm gonna probably have to come back out here tomorrow and finish putting the plastics on. I'm gonna get the oil in it. I'm gonna get it started up and get the diff filled back up. May take it for a ride without the plastics, just to see how everything feels. If I do, well, I might wait till tomorrow. That way I can film some of that. I know I didn't get a before video of how this thing acted, and I didn't get tearing the plastics apart. So I'm gonna try to film that best I can. I kind of decided about midway through this project I was gonna start this filming thing and try to document some of this stuff. So this is where we're at right now. We're almost back together, and I started this thing probably a little after lunch, and it's I don't know, 6 or 7 o'clock now. And like I said, I've been filming and trying to get the angles right and stopping and checking the footage and stuff like that, just to make sure I was doing what I thought I was doing. So I feel pretty confident you could probably do this in 4 or 5 hours if I head down grinding on it. I don't know, it's taking me a little longer than I wanted it to take, but you know, I'm also learning a new thing too. So here we go. I'm gonna set y'all back up and start putting some of this. Well, I'll go ahead and get the fluids back in it, and maybe do a fire up and spin the back tires on the jack or something, and then we'll wrap up for the night. Come back out tomorrow and get the plastics on, and maybe do a little rip around the yard or something, and just see if it makes a difference. If it's a noticeable difference anyway. I know it's going to make a difference. I don't know how much of a difference, but we'll see. All right, we got it full of oil. It's the next day here. I did look at the website from Highlifter. They said that well, it reads that this is a 21% gear reduction. The website says it fits 07 to 13. It does fit in this 2020. I don't know if it's going to throw off some sensors or what. Like I said, this is the first time I've done one of these, and it was kind of brought to me. Here's the gears, here's the bike, put it in there kind of thing. So I hope it doesn't affect any of the speed sensors, because this is the automatic version of this machine. And it's got speed sensors and stuff that allow it to shift. And I don't know that it's going to affect that at all. I'm just thinking out loud now that I've read that. But with that being said, we got it oiled up. I'm gonna go ahead and get the plastics and stuff back on it and fire it up and take it out in the yard there and rip it around and make sure it shifts good, make sure everything works. And I'll get back with you when I see what it does to the bike. Okay, apparently like I thought, I'm gonna go over it again, make sure I haven't left something unplugged. But the gear reduction in these ESP bikes, the automatic bikes, I don't think it's gonna work. I'm gonna do a little more research on it. Again, like I said, I'm kind of new to this particular deal. I'm kind of learning as I go. Even if I got to take it back apart and put other gears back in it, it's definitely not shifting. It will not shift automatically on its own. When I put it in ESP to do the shifting manually myself, it will not allow me to go through past third gear. I'm assuming it's got something to do with speed versus RPM maybe, and it's just not getting up to speed. It definitely does give the bike way more power in the bottom end. It gives it the gear reduction that he's looking for, but again, it's not allowing it to shift, so it's kind of pointless. I'm gonna again go over it again, make sure that I haven't left anything unplugged. If I have left something unplugged, maybe that's the cause of it. But right now it's looking like this isn't going to work, so we may have to go back and put the stock gears back in it. But we'll see as it unfolds. All right, I got it figured out. I'm sure there were some people screaming at the monitor there. What it is this basically the smaller gear in this kit is smaller in diameter than the factory one. So the speed sensor rides right above this, and it reads these teeth. It uses this as a tone ring to indicate speed. And without the speed, it couldn't shift. So what I did, I called the owner of it and I discussed options with him. And I was like, hey, it's a $50 sensor. We can try to modify it and see if we can make it shift. If not, we have to put it back stock and put the stock sensor back in it, $50 to the bad. And he said, go ahead and try it. So what I did was I don't have the sensor. I've already put it back in the bike, but I cut the ear off, the mounting ear, and cut some grooves in the side of it, and made a little aluminum hold down tab, and got the height where I wanted it, and then I cut some little grooves in the side of the sensor to hold that height. You can do it in a number of different ways. I did do a little research on the interweb there before I really dove into it. A lot of people are having the issue when they do this, and what they're doing is essentially just shaving that ear down to allow it to sit deeper in the hole to get the proper clearance. I opted to cut it off and make a tab. You can do it in a number of different ways. I'm sure you could come up with something. I wish I would have filmed it, but I was kind of in panic mode a little bit, trying to get it done, because today's about the last day I could work on it. I got some other stuff I need to do. But anyway, the bike's running, it's driving, shifting fine, it's going through automatic fine, it does the ESP fine, everything's working perfect. He's going to come pick this up probably tomorrow afternoon. But yeah, in the afternoon, aside from that little hiccup we had right there, probably 5 hours maybe, start to finish, somebody could do this if you really worked on it hard. Like I said, first one I've done, a little learning experience. We did run into a little hiccup, wasn't too bad. We got it figured out, got it fixed. It does make a huge improvement over the overall. If you run it up into gears, you could power brake it through third gear easy now. And before it was bogging hard in first gear, especially I got a ditch in front of the house. We're trying to climb out of the ditch, it was just bogging hard. Now it climbs right out of that, no problem. You could pull it in second easy. I think that was the ultimate goal, to get him situated. But yeah, I don't know. Been a pretty good project. I'm glad I filmed it. I'm gonna try to get this edited up and get it posted. Y'all let me know what you think. Any comments, improvements, or anything I might do better. I do know I need to film a little more and maybe get you a little more content that actually what I'm doing. Especially that sensor thing. I really do wish I could have filmed that a little better, because now that I know that fixed it, it would have been very informational. You can see how I did it anyway. You can come up with your own conclusion on how you would rather do it. But yeah, that's 21% gear reduction. That's the secondary, I guess it'd be the drive gears from Highlifter. It will work this is the full automatic bike. You can make it work. It shows on the website that it's not for this machine. You can make it work.
the gears go in no problem. The only issue we had was the speed sensor. So yeah, that worked good. I think he'll be completely happy with the overall product. I think he's going to be much more happy with how it performs. So yeah, let me know what you think. Appreciate it.